Hey guys, I'm Coach Micheal Burt, the Super Coach, going old school on you, baby, because of popular demand. I'm bringing back good coach, bad coach. Secrets of great coaches know that the other people never figure out. So for all my coaches, all my leaders, all my mentors, all my people interested in peak performance, whether it be in athletics or business, I'm bringing back good coach, bad coach, and today's topic is the power of one. One thought, one step, one compliment, one belief, one action, one player at a time toward winning a championship. I'm Coach Micheal Burt, and this is Good Coach, Bad Coach. Hey guys, Coach Micheal Burt, Super Coach. Hello to everybody out there Thursday afternoon, and I have made a commitment to you and all of the people out there who follow me. I want to say hi to folks already watching in, tuned in, Roy Frazier, Roger Sargent, RJ Grimshaw, all the people who out there follow me. I made a commitment to multiply the amount of content that I put out for people every single week. I believe a good coach can change your life. I believe a good coach can have conversations with you don't want to have, make you do things you don't want to do, help you become something you didn't think you could become. And many years ago, after reading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I was stepping back and I was trying to figure out why that book had sold 30 million copies worldwide. And I come to the conclusion that it sold 30 million copies worldwide, Tony Woodall, because of the comparison and contrasting of a rich dad and a poor dad. And my mind immediately jumped, Brandon, to this concept of good coach, bad coach. You see, there are millions and millions and millions of coaches out there in the world, leaders, mentors, managers. And let me tell you what, there's a lot of friggin' bad coaches out there in the world. So what's my principle? The better the coach, the better the team. You show me a great coach. Show me a Nick Saban. Show me a Harbaugh. You show me a great coach, and I'm going to show you a performing team. You show me a team that's got great talent with a lousy coach, and I'm going to show you a drastically underperforming team. And so we've got all kinds of programs for folks out there. RJ Grimshaw, love teaching person of interest. I'm so glad, man. I'm so glad you are a person of interest. Thank you for tuning in. We got so many programs that are out there that I just want to come out to all my coaches. This is a different segment than Monster Producer. This is a different segment than Super Coach that I do every week. This is specifically for my leaders. Those of you that see yourselves as a coach, and there's really three groups of people. You are a coach. You see yourself as a mentor and coach to other people. Okay? You are getting coached, which means people are coaching you. You're hungry. You're humble. You're teachable. You're coachable. Third group of people is you don't want to coach. Prideful, arrogant, stuck, stagnant, retreating, contracting. You're not going anywhere, man, if you're not getting coached. And so you tell me one person out there in the world, you show me a person that's performing at a maximum level and tell me they do not have somebody coaching them. So let me give you a couple definitions here. And today we're talking, the title of today's show is The Power of One. And I'm going to play off something in a minute. It's the power of one thought, one action, one belief, one compliment, the power of getting one player on your team, the power of just one. Okay? And I'm going to get into two big concepts there at the end of how many people are you touching and tracking your positive versus your negative comments, because I think a good coach is both intense and positive. And I think Ann Fair would agree with that. A good coach is intense and positive. See, one of my bad habits when I was a basketball coach is I'd get real intense, but I'd get negative. And the more intensity I drove up, the more negative I got. And I was telling someone yesterday that just signed up for one of our coaching programs, I was like, man, I left all that behind when I left being a basketball coach. I don't throw anything. I don't kick anything. The more intense I get now, I get more positive. I'm trying to stay intense and positive. You don't have to be negative when you get intense. And so for you, when you think about yourself being a coach and a teacher, I would just tell you this. If you're a manager out there in the world, you're trying to manage things. You really do two things. You solve problems and you make decisions. If you're a coach, though, and this is where we're drastically underprepared, a coach is engaging people in a set of systematic behaviors that allows them to do something tomorrow they cannot do today. A coach is constantly coaching. And you're coaching people one-to-many, that's in a group setting, and you're coaching people one-to-one. Okay, that's in that setting. So there's formal settings, there's informal settings. And so for you, I want you to really ask yourself, how much coaching are you doing? If you're a good coach, how much coaching are you giving people? Now, on average, I spent 5.5 hours per day with my players when I was a high school basketball coach. 5.5 hours per day. Now, think about how much time you're spending with your players. Think about the methodology you're taking your players through. Okay, think about, are you engaging them in a set of systematic and consistent behaviors? Last night at church, we were talking about a formula for making decisions. You know, when you have too many decisions, how do you make decisions? Well, I said I make decisions based on low value versus high value. But to know the difference between low value and high value, you got to have a dominant aspiration. Because if you don't have something you're pushing your team to, then you don't know what the difference in low value and high value is. See, in a coaching world, to win a championship ring, man, simple. In the business world, what is it? Okay, what is it? And so for you as a coach, what we're talking today is the power of one. Now, this goes back to a concept that I had many years ago. Hi, Donna Davis Ross. Good to see you join us here today. This goes back to a concept many years ago when I wrote the book, The Anatomy of Winning. And I wrote that book with Hall of Fame coach Rick Insell, who's the head coach at MTSU, good friend of mine, very, very successful coach. He had won 10 state championships. I had won 1 state championship, and I asked him, how do you win so many championships? And the real question was, how do you get people to buy in? If they don't buy into the messenger, they'll never buy into the message. For all my managers and coaches, if they ain't bought into you, they're never going to buy into your methodology. So don't lead with methodology. Lead with buying to you. The dream, the person, the character, the vision. Okay, so any new contract that I sign, very first thing I do when I get in there is I try to get buy-in to me. How do I do it? With my energy, with my passion, with my know-how, with my likability. I'm trying to get you to buy into me before I get you to buy into my methods. And so for you, I asked him, and I said, how do you win all these championships? How do you get buy-in? And he said, he looked at me and he got real serious, and he said, one player at a time. Now, I want you to think about that. He didn't say I get all 15 on board with me at one time. He said I go typically to the best player, the most talented player, and I get them to buy into me 100%, lock, stock, and barrel. I get buy-in from one, the power of one. And then I go to 2, and then I go to 3, and then I go to 4, and then I go to 5, until eventually I got the majority of people who have bought into me. And so what's the moral of the first segment? Okay, Don Borgeson said, being a good coach is the ultimate form of leadership. Teach and pass it on. That's exactly right. You can't give away what you don't possess. So what's the moral of the first segment? When you're building a team, and this is one of the hardest things in the world to do, and we cover this in this show. We'll cover this in this podcast. When you're building a team, it is so difficult because every person is bringing their own bias, their own assumption, their own prejudgment. They're bringing it to one group, and it's just a big ball of unharnessed energy. The coach is the person that starts to get buy-in to the vision, but first you got to get buy-in to you. So I want you to think right now, how many people on your team are bought in to you? And for those people who are not bought into you, they are actually detracting from the vision, pulling energy away from the vision, diluting the energy of the group. So the power of one. When I come back after this commercial, we're coming back to one thought, one step, one compliment, one belief, one action. As my buddy Matt Monero says, Mama always told you that the first step was the hardest. But she actually lied. It wasn't step number 1. It was step 2, 3, and 4. I'm Coach Micheal Burt, the super coach. I'm bringing back old school, baby. Good coach, bad coach. Come on back in segment number 2. Hey guys, Coach Micheal Burt. How do you find the right coach for you? There's personal coaches, there's life coaches, there's business coaches, there's spiritual coaches. Here's the deal. You got to find a coach you have an affinity with. You believe the same things. I believe trained people always outperform untrained people. I believe coach people always outperform uncoached people. You got to find a coach that you think brings the knowledge and the skill and the desire and the confidence to you that will work for you. I would love to be that coach through my new Total Growth Academy. Go to CoachBurt.com, click on virtual coaching, and get coached by me every day on any device, anywhere on planet Earth. Come on back, man. Come on, man. Let me give a shout out to some folks out there. Michael Jones, Don Borgeson, Brandy Winfrey, David Goen, Adam Wright, my man down there in Clearwater, Florida, Tampa Bay. Tony Woodall said, get the stud to buy into you. That's right. You get the stud to buy into you. There'll be a lot of people buy into you. Every team is made up of influencers, right? So you're out there trying to be a good coach versus a bad coach. I think there's a clear difference between good coaches and bad coaches. We could go through every coach at the college level in the SEC. We could go through every coach in the NFL. We could go through every manager. And I'm telling you, there is something that is holding back. Derek Furlow, good to see you, man. What up, my man? Long time no see. And we could go through every coach that's out there in the world, and I'm telling you, the great coaches are made up of multiple ingredients, okay? So at the collegiate level, you can't just be a great recruiter but not be a great coach. You can't be a great X and O person and not be a great recruiter. You can't be a genius X and O person, but you can't relate to your players. You can't be all of those things and not be able to relate to the fans. And so what I'm trying to do in this show is show you the differences between what I think a good coach is and a bad coach. The topic today is the power of one. One person to buy into you. Once you get one, let's go to two. And I want to break this down. You see, when I won a championship, it all started with one thought. The thought was, I'm going to take a place that's never won a championship in 30-something years, and I'm going to turn it into a championship program. So what did that thought? That thought created, thought started with belief. That belief created an action. That action created movement. That movement created attraction of the right people. And so I said, for us to be a championship program, we got to start thinking. We got to start seeing ourselves as championship people. So what did I do? I went in and helped create a new locker room. I hired a new staff. We built new coaching offices. We've got new uniforms. We started to go to new places to play. It all started with one thought and one conversation, the power of one. This is where it starts, guys. It started in my mind. We can win a championship here. We will. And I got to sell every person. Now, early on, my players didn't believe it, and that's why we didn't win one. And most likely because I didn't believe it. And so can't you tell on Saturdays when you're watching college football today if that coach believes that they can be a upper tier team? See, it all starts in the mind of that one coach. It don't start in the mind of the players. It starts in the mind of the head coach that is then passed on down to the assistant coaches, which is then passed on down to the players. So it starts with one belief, which goes into one thought. Every action you take is driven by your thoughts. Your thoughts are no wiser than your understandings. Then it's one action, okay? And that one action creates this, okay? Now, let me shift off here for a second, and let's talk about the power of one compliment, okay? One compliment. So one of the strategies I used to use, because I had a tendency to be negative when I got real intense as a coach, is I actually had my managers follow me around without me knowing it, and track every negative comment that I said and every positive comment that I said. And at the end of the day, I could track. I had 42 negatives. I had 15 positives. Now, if you read the 1 Minute Manager, any of those things, he's big on 7 positives to 1 negative, okay? Now, in the early days, man, I was way screwed up on that. I had probably had 7 negatives to 1 positive, and I thought that's just how you motivate people, man. You just beat down on them. You hear that a lot. You break them down to build them back up. Now, there is a time and place for that. There is a time of breaking down and disintegration of bad habits and building back up. But I want to go back to that concept of the power of one compliment. the power of positive, the power of affirmation, the power of belief, the power of one person, the power of one statement. Lou Holtz used to say what takes years to build up can take seconds to tear down. So I want to give you a measurement tool. That we are now using in my office. We brought in a guy last week, Justin Lefevre, very intelligent guy, came in to coach us, and he looked at everything I was measuring. I was measuring sales, accounts receivable, follow-up, touch system, all engagement. He said, "You're not measuring the number one thing you need to be measuring, Coach. Why did you start this company?" I started it to impact people. You don't even have a measurement tool that shows how many people you're impacting. Like, you need a ticker. And so how do we measure that? We measure it now by success stories, unsolicited stories from the people we touch, the people watching these podcasts, the people that are out there in the world, Will Webb, Spike McDaniel, right? We measure it by the number of unsolicited people that say, "Look, something you or your company did or said impacted our life in a positive way." Yesterday I was speaking at Roscoe Brown, and I was talking about me being in a prison ministry now. And a guy at the end said, "Look, man, I'm in. I'm going through alcoholism training right now, 90 days, every day. I'd love to help you in prison ministry because I've been in prison, man. Sign me up. I'm in." Hey, that's a success story. Okay, so for you as a coach, you got to get out of this habit of measuring perfection, and you got to get in the habit of measuring progress versus perfection. We're not where we want to be, but thank God we're not where we used to be. For some people, showing up on time is progress. For some people, having a good attitude all day is progress. For some people, doing what they're supposed to do is progress. For some people, avoiding creative avoidance is progress. It's the power of one action. Enough small actions taken over time, compounding, turn out to be something big. It's the whole concept of the flywheel in Good to Great. So for you, I got to get you measuring the right thing. If you got a team, you're probably measuring success. You're probably measuring this, but you need to be measuring impact. How many people did we impact? So we got a goal in our office now, minimum of 5. We need 5 success stories a week, and if we consistently get 5, that's my rule on my goals. If you hit your goal 3 straight months, raise it. I want 5 a week, 5 success stories a week. Okay, that's 20 a month. We start getting 15 a month, 25 a month, 30 a month, 40 a month, 50 a month. What if we had 1,000 success stories? And so you got to get back to this concept of the power of one. If you're the leader, I'm talking to you, brother. If you're not in my Turn Your Managers into Coaches program, you should be. If you're not in my Making of a Coach program in Total Growth Academy, you should be. Right now, you can get in there. What, Brandon? $1? You get a demo for 30 days for $1, man, to get in there and play around and see if you like it. And if you like it, you sign up and you get coaching anytime, anywhere, any place. So for you, it all starts in the mind of a leader. See, right now, I'm seeing like this. I used to see like this. I'm thinking big. I'm not thinking small anymore. You can't go big if little got you. So it starts with one belief that you can impact millions of people. Then it's one thought. Then it's one action. Then it comes down to one step. Then step 2, 3, and 4. One compliment, one belief. And maybe you need somebody tracking you at your office on how many positive statements you have versus how many negative statements you have in a week, okay? And maybe you need to be tracking number of people impacted. Every week, I'm going to do this show about 2 times a month. Jason Walbert, thank you, brother. Tom Hodges, my man, Cynthia Martin, Luke Frost, Jason Walbert. Love you, man. I believe there's good coaches in the world, and I believe there's bad coaches. I think a good coach can change your life. I've heard a lot of coaches go negative, stay negative, gripe about their players, bitch about their players, gripe about their staff, bring all that negative to the table. And here's the hypocrisy of that. I was one of those people. You can't tell a player to focus on the next play, and you live in the past for 15 next play. You stay mad at a player for 3 months. That's hypocritical, man. You can't say you focus on the next play, but I'm going to be mad at you about something you did 2 months ago. Trust me, I've done all of it, guys, but no more. Intense and positive. The power of one. God bless you guys. Good coach, bad coach. Everybody needs a good coach in life. Thank you for tuning in to Good Coach, Bad Coach. This will be on iTunes, right? iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Republic. I'm bringing it back. Too much demand for a show this good. Thank you for joining me this week. I'm getting ready to come back with Monster Producer in just a few minutes on Facebook Live. Love you guys. Hey guys, Coach Micheal Burt, and I get asked all of the time, what does a good coach do? See, a good coach should engage you in a set of systematic behaviors that allows you to do something tomorrow you can't do today. They should find and fill your missing structures. They help you break through that ceiling of success that you can't break through on your own. And that, my friend, is why everybody needs a good coach in life. Check out Coach Micheal Burt's Total Growth Academy at CoachBurt.com.